Welcome to Modern Musings, conversations with the maiden, mother, and crone, looking at ourselves and the world through the lens of the 21st century. Welcome back. I'm Kristen Hessler, your host today, with my co-hosts Cindy Murray.
Hello.
And Amber Garvin.
Hey.
If you're a returning listener, thanks for coming back. We appreciate you. If this is your first time tuning in, I just wanted to give you a little bit about us so you kind of understand what we're here and what we're about, what we're here for. So we are three women who love to write and have great conversations. We created Modern Musings out of a desire to share our interests with others. Being in different stages of our lives means we often have different perspectives on life's challenges and the world around us. So, borrowing a little symbolism from our Celtic ancestors, we present ourselves to you as the maiden, mother, and crone, the triple goddess, a representation of the different phases of a woman's life. We hope our different perspectives will help you find some common ground as we delve into a wide assortment of topics and deeper learning, spirituality, and living healthier and more fulfilling lives, including health and well-being, relationships, spirituality, personal finance, arts and crafts, travel, personal and career development, pop culture, cooking, and so much more. We have lots to share. And so today our topic is actually about cleaning checklists and cleaning routines. We've done quite a few topics on our Goals Girl segment, and we're getting into this part of the year where a lot of us have like home goals for housekeeping and spring cleaning, stuff like that.
Spring.
So
yeah.
And, we talked about day planners and stuff. So I wanted to talk to you guys about one of my goals for this year and how that actually relates to cleaning checklists. So, Travis and I were pretty newlywed. I'm the mother of the group here. And, so I have a 11-year-old who runs around and messes up the house. I have a husband who runs around and messes up the house. And I have 3 dogs. And then, of course, I contribute to the mess, too. And so we're still, being newlyweds, new family, trying to get, like, our common ground and our routines down. My husband and I, Travis and I work completely opposite shifts. We are literally 2 ships passing in the night. I see him when he goes to work and he sees me when he comes home from work. So we kind of have to share a lot of our responsibilities and make sure that we're in really good communication with each other. And we don't get that opportunity to have good verbal conversation about the goings on of the house. It has to be completely virtual. Sometimes it is like in paper format, email format, text. It is like working from home with your coworkers and you only get to see them on the Zoom meeting once a week. That's the way I feel like with my husband. So, one of the reasons why we're talking about cleaning checklist is today because our goal this year was to make a home binder where we have all of the important information that both of us need to know and have readily available. A babysitter could just open it up and call emergency contact, see who Arena's doctor is, her medicine. My husband can go in there and pull information for cooking, cleaning. And so we're actually making a cleaning checklist. And I've had one in the past, but, things change. I have more rooms in my house and a lot more laundry to wash. So I can't do all the cleaning all in one day. And I'm kind of in a dilemma here. So I thought I'd get with you guys and see what y'all's advice might be.
I have a totally different scenario with mine. For the listeners out there, I'm Cindy. And I am the crone of the group. I am a 50-something work from home part-time mom of grown children. I currently have only my husband and a dog living in my home. And so the life at our house is quite a bit different than Kristen's. I know when I was a young mother, I had certain days of the week that I did certain tasks. But I was a stay-at-home mom during those days, so that too is a lot different. My husband actually worked 2 jobs, sometimes 3, depending. I worked for a time, and then when my son was born, I became a stay-at-home mom until he was in high school. So I was solely responsible for the house because my husband did all of the earning for the household. So I found having a routine is the best thing to get things done, especially if you have children, animals in the house, just to, like I say, just pick a day for a certain thing to happen. It doesn't have to be all on the same day, but I think having certain days for certain things, and you know that day is coming and you've set aside that time for that, I think that is the biggest help. Now, I will say right now, I do not keep to my routine at all. I usually have a Monday cleaning day, and I used to try to do everything all in that one day because in my head I'm thinking I don't want to clean house all week long. I want to do it one day, get it done, and play the rest of the week. So that's kind of what I've done in the past. But right now we are recently empty nesting. I have a niece who is in and out of the household a lot because she's at college, and when she's not away living in the dorms, she is staying with us. And we have also recently had my mother, who has dementia, was living with us for a while, and then a friend who had cancer was living with us for a while, so we could take care of him because he was terminal. And that really messed with routines. And then after they were both gone, I just kind of quit cleaning.
Yeah,
honestly.
So you're due for a new routine. See, it's perfect. I feel like after the holidays, you get so discombobulated, and then January 1st, you have all these new goals, so you're kind of hyper-focused on the new goals. And then it's like springtime, you're like, yeah, I kind of need to clean house, and I want to freshen up and stuff. So I figured this is a good time to start planning that out and, like,
it really has been
work
because
that part of my binder.
We had, our friend passed away in January. Right after the holidays. All the kids were home for the holidays for a couple of weeks, and the house was full and a mess. And at the same time, we had construction projects going on because we were doing some renovations that got postponed from the fall because of COVID.
So your house was like a wreck.
Our house was a wreck because the kids left and it was a mess. And then our friend passed away, and then my niece moved out, and she kind of left a mess behind. And I literally threw my hands up in the air and said, I can't deal with this right now. So all my stuff in the garage, because we had to move it out of the rooms that we were renovating. And I mean, I couldn't even face it. I just couldn't face it.
So last week, I think we talked about Clutterbug and your different type of cluttery type person you are and stuff. So I'm also trying to incorporate that too, because we're kind of decluttering and setting new routines.
And we are too. Yeah.
So my husband's gotten really good about, because he's the person who cooks dinner every night. Like every night. I'm never home, or I'm at work when it's dinner time. So he's the one who preps and cooks dinner, and he's the one who puts the leftovers away because he meal preps it for lunch, and then he's the one in the kitchen cleaning up afterwards. So I have been getting off work at 9:30, and he puts Raina to bed at 9. So I've been meeting him lately to help him clean up the kitchen because I definitely feel guilty, like it's become his domain, but he still needs some guidance on some of the things that you need to do on a routine basis. So, like, our stove is one of those gas stoves that has, like, the grill on top, and then the food stuff, like, pops out of the pan. and it goes down into the grill. And I'm like, okay,
that
dude, we
top
gotta
needs to be cleaned regularly.
I'm like, you gotta clean the stove, you gotta wipe off the counters. So we've been kind of going through all the different. Here's how you clean off the cabinets after dinner if you spilled food down the front of them, because, new cooks are messy cooks. And there'll be dribbles of like some brown sauce going down my white cabinet.
I am
all
messy no
cooks
matter.
are messy
right, I was
cooks.
about to say, like, I love to bake, and I am messy every time I cook.
My mother always said that it was a sign of a good cook. A messy kitchen was a sign of a good cook. So,
Oh, well, then your mother would love my kitchen right now, because I am in a completely different area of life as you two. I am living alone. I mean, I have a boyfriend who comes over twice a week, and I go over to his place maybe once a week because we also work on different schedules. I go to work at 7:30, 8 in the morning, and I have an after school job, so I don't get home until like 6:30, and he is going into work at 4:30, so I only get to see him on his days off, because my days off are on the weekends and his days off are on Wednesday and Thursday. And so I see him after I get off my second job on my days off. So, I mean, I literally hardly ever have time to do anything during the school year. And it's, well, if you're just
so
now...
your cleaning routine is seasonal?
Yeah, seasonal, yes. And if you're just
That's
now...
about how often I do the laundry.
In,
that's what I've been lately.
I'm a teacher, so yeah, I work regular teacher hours, and then I work an after-school job, which is still at my school, but it is a completely separate job, and it's an after-school care program for kids whose parents work late. So I stay until the last kid is gone, pretty much. I mean, normally there are people that stay even later than me, but we kind of tier it in the way that we leave. And so then, I do podcast stuff on the weekends and school stuff on the weekends. So it's really hard to fit in cleaning. I try to do a little bit every day, at least for an hour, when I come home from work. And that's usually like vacuuming, because I have cats. So it'll take that whole hour to vacuum. And then that's done, And then the next day... and maybe I'll wait a couple of days depending on how I feel, and then it's laundry. And I usually wait until I have to wash everything for me to do laundry. So that takes the whole night.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then the next time I clean, it might be dishes, and then back to vacuuming. So, and I mostly recently, you know what? It's been almost a year now since I moved into my apartment, and I was thinking when I moved out of the last place how I didn't clean as much as I should have, mostly due to depression, that I'm going to be less depressed and clean more. But it's just like, pandemic is over and all the kids are back in school, and so I'm back at work, and so I don't have time.
She said pandemic is over.
Well, it was.
That'll be
It's
another
over.
discussion for another podcast.
Like this school year, it's all in person. I know, like we're in springtime right now, but this whole school year since the beginning has been all in person in Texas.
Yeah,
not other states, but Texas.
Yeah. So yes, Texas is very open right now. So, you were talking about how often you do certain things. I'm a stickler. I try to do my laundry. I really do try to do my laundry at least once a week. Mm-hmm. Now, that is getting it washed and dried. That does not mean folding it or putting it away.
Folding usually takes like 3 weeks.
I've had 3 weeks of laundry piled up on top of my washer, and then I'm like miserable trying to fold it all and put it away.
Me every time.
But and my husband's like, I need you to find me some shorts and workout underwear, But I tried. That's one of the things I try to stay on top of. At least the laundry is clean, and my husband is a very big stickler about the kitchen. So
me too.
He cannot stand dirty dishes on the counter in the sink or whatever.
Too.
So actually several years ago when my son was in high school, I kind of threw in the towel and I said, that's it. When Stephen moves away to college, I'm going to quit cooking because I have been cooking meals since I was 8 years old. My mother taught me how to cook. And when I was in high school, my sister and I were responsible for cooking for the family because my mother worked outside the home and had very, very long hours and could not be there to cook dinner. So my sister and I did the meal cooking for several years during our high school years. And I just said, it's it. I've done it for 40 years at that point, and I'm tired. I want to retire from this job. I hate daily cooking. And my husband, instead of doing, because what I was talking about, and anybody who does all the cooking and cleaning knows when you go cook a meal, it's not just cook a meal and eat. It's, you're in the kitchen for an hour to 2 hours prepping the meal, and then you eat, and then you're in the kitchen for another hour, hour and a half, or whatever, cleaning up if you do the really thorough cleaning. And so your entire evening is in that kitchen. And I said, I just can't do this anymore. And so my husband actually volunteered to start washing the dishes. And that's how we kind of slowly started moving away from me being responsible for everything in the house to him having a share in some of the duties around the house. Mm-hmm. And actually during the pandemic, he's helped a lot more around the house. But now we have a routine. So we actually cook together most nights when we cook because we do HelloFresh, which I mentioned on a previous podcast when we were talking about eating healthy on a budget. And so we cook together, which has been a very good thing for our marriage because that's a really good time for us to talk and be together and kind of decompress our days while we're prepping. And it made cooking a lot more pleasant. And then I cook one night a week and he cooks one night a week separately. But after dinner, he gets up and starts washing the dishes. And he does all of the dishwashing, loads the dishwasher. And then when he's done with that, I come back and clean off all the cabinets, clean off the stove, which I'm not always so stickler about, but I do. Mm-hmm. That is my job, but I'll come back and do it. Maybe not quite as often as I should. Mm. And then I've gotten into the habit or tried to get into the habit of sweeping also because crumbs get on the floor, when you're cooking and everything. And then I also have a dog who brings in grass and leaves and mud and whatever. Mm-hmm. And so I try to sweep after every meal also.
Yeah, we actually just started doing that. Our house we moved into last summer is a all hardwood or laminate type of flooring. And so, we got 3 dogs. So the dog hair is like a nightmare.
Everywhere.
And the fall was horrible too, fall and winter, because my little Yorkie likes to roll in the leaves and she brings them back in in piles. She comes in covered in leaves like she's camo. So yes,
I can picture that.
My house is covered in leaves and dog hair all the time. So we have to sweep at least once a day. My scrapbook office room, I can't focus at work because I can't I see all the dog hair and leaves on the floor and I'm just I can't think straight. So I told my husband, okay, after you clean the kitchen, it's not just about, washing the dishes. We got to wipe the counters off and then you sweep. No sense in sweeping and then wiping the counters off. We learned that lesson. And then, so then he started, if I'm going to sweep while Kristen's loading the dishwasher, I can go start in the living room. And he works the living room first because I don't like to sweep the kitchen and wipe the counters off until all the dishes are rinsed off, because you just keep finding crumbs and dishes, right? So he started over by the front door and he works his way and he does, because we have kind of an open concept living room, kitchen, dining room thing. So he starts in one end and by the time I've got all the dishes in the dishwasher and he's got everything swept up, it's time to wipe the counters off in the kitchen and then sweep, and then all that goes into the trash, and then he takes the trash out, and it's wow, we're really starting to get this routine And that's why I thought, we should really like write this down so we don't forget. But it's working
the
good.
Concept of the cleaning checklist right there.
Yeah,
writing
exactly.
it down and
yeah, and I want my husband to be able to survive going through those motions without me being there, or just enough that we can instill it so that Raina grows up having those habits, those healthy habits. Because right now she doesn't see us wash the dishes, because we actually, once we're done eating dinner, they have special time where they do things like play video games and stuff together, and then he reads for her before she goes to bed. So in order to make sure they have enough time to read and play their video game together, my husband leaves the dinner out a little bit longer than some people normally would. It's not like it's sitting out all night, but we usually eat at 7:30, and by 9 he's packing it up. So he puts her to bed, and then he goes and makes his lunch, so that we kind of got this little routine going. And it's more than just cleaning, it's just the idea of having a routine is nice. When I live by myself, kind of like you, Amber, you had the weekend.
Yeah.
I did all my cleaning. Like Saturday was go day. That was like go have lunch, go run errands, go hang out with a friend, go. And then Sunday was stay at home. I like woke up on Sunday,
clean,
stripped the bed. That was the first thing I did. I carried the sheets down and I washed my sheets, and then I carried my laundry down to the laundry, and then started on the kitchen, and then I did the bathrooms. While the laundry was going, I was multitasking, and by like 5 o'clock I could start my meal prepping for the next week. Because it was just me. I was just make like one extra meal and pack it up, and then like the laundry's all washed, and then I could take it upstairs, to my room and sit on the bed and fold laundry after dinner. And I'm done by like 10 o'clock. It's time for bed.
I was that way.
A perfect way to start your
I
week.
can't do it all in one day.
I can't do it anymore now either.
Like,
There's too many things going on in my life.
Yeah, I can't do it.
Well, that's the way me too. Because before Stephen moved out, I had a day like that. I had 2 days, like you said, a go day and a cleaning day. So my cleaning day was Monday and my go day was Tuesday. So on Tuesdays, I would, go to the bank, go to the post office, go to the grocery store, any other errands I needed to run, have lunch with a friend. Sometimes my friend and I would go grocery shopping together. And that, we kind of killed two birds with one stone there, and some of those kind of things. And then Monday was my cleaning day. So like you get up, strip the bed, start the laundry, start the bathrooms. And I would, I had 2 bathrooms. So I would go put the stuff in the toilet and leave that to soak. And then I'd come back and scrub that and sweep the floor. And then I'd, put the stuff on the sink or in the bathtub, or, it was just like steps. And I would leave something to the disinfectant to soak, because usually they say, leave it for 10 minutes or whatever to disinfect. So I'd spray it down or whatever, and then I'd go to another room and like make the bed or dust that room, and then move. And I would just slowly move through the house and then, going back and forth through those bathrooms at the same time. And by about 3 or 4 o'clock, I would be done with all of my house cleaning. The laundry would be done. Some of it would be put away already, because I would fold it as it came out, just really quickly fold it. And, and it would be all folded on the washer, on top of the washer and dryer. But, because at that point in time, my son was doing stuff like after school, like he'd play football. He was on the swim and dive team. He was in orchestra. He ran cross country. He did all these things. So that was, I had to be able to, and he went to Scouts. He was also in Boy Scouts. So I had to have all those things done so that I could shower and get dressed and then take him to whatever thing he was participating in. But I did get it all done. And then I had my Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday to do other projects. Like Friday was always a baking day for me. If I was going to bake bread or cookies or anything like that, I would do it on a Friday. Thursday was always my scrapbooking day. I'm an avid scrapbooker, and back in those days we had local scrapbook stores, and my friend and I would pack up our scrapbooks and go to the scrapbook stores and craft together all day. And and then I'd have days for yard work, and everything had its own day, and I did all these things, and it worked really well. But once I started working from home part-time, I am now a part-time travel agent. So I am self-employed, so I have my own travel agency, and I work as much as I want to, basically, or as much as I feel like it. But sometimes you can't control when that is. It's, clients call you at all hours of the day and night, and you just never know. And really, honestly, most of the calls and the stuff comes in on Monday, and that's my cleaning day. And so if I spend half my day Monday, researching something for clients or talking to clients,
you off, doesn't it?
Totally throws me off. So yeah, it's really a challenge to get my house cleaning done on that day. And I'll tell you another thing that has been a real challenge, and it's probably a bad on me kind of thing. When my mother lived with me, she has dementia, and she moved in with me during COVID, and it was a real challenge to get any work done with her there, because she had a dog, the aforementioned Yorkie, that now lives with Kristen. And if you don't know, if you're new to this podcast, Kristen is my daughter. And so she took the dog, but when the dog lived with me, she barks a lot, and she needed a lot of attention. My mother needed a lot of attention. And I just really couldn't get any work or any cleaning or anything like that done during the day when my mom was there or while she was awake. So what I would do was to stay up very late at night and do those things at nighttime, because that was the only time I could get it done. And then I would wind up sleeping during the day. And my husband was home and my niece was home because of COVID. So they were home with us so they could take care of Mom during that time of the day. And then I could stay up later at night and do the things I needed to do. And it has become such a bad habit for me that I tend to stay up really late at night now and sleep during the day. So I still don't get those things done during the day because I'm so used to sleeping in those odd hours. So
then you have limited daylight time.
I do.
To
I have
work on your business stuff.
I do have very limited daylight time. I have to work on business during that time. And it's really weird. And it's, like for an example, last night I went to bed this morning at 6:30. So I went to bed at 6:30 and got up at 11 to come do this podcast.
I'm rolling my eyes at her.
She is.
Lord.
My husband laughs at me,
went to bed
because
last night.
my husband actually goes to bed at a decent hour, and he's like up early, and so we kind of are ships that pass in the night too. But I really like working and doing things at night because it's very quiet and all that. But it's also hard because if things need to happen during the daytime, I can't do the other things I need to do during the daytime.
So when the lockdown first happened, I went from working 9 to 5 type job to basically working the same job just from 8 at night until 4 in the morning, which at first I was like, hey, this is cool. I like it. I'm a nighttime person anyways. I like to stay up till 4 a.m.
No.
And
Overnight.
it worked.
No.
It actually worked
It
really
worked
well
for
because that's what time my husband should go to bed, because he had to be at work at 4 a.m. So, he needs to go to bed at 7 p.m. technically, but he usually goes to bed around 10. So, it worked well that way because he would sleep while I was at work and I would sleep while he was at work. And then we had from 1 o'clock until 8 p.m. to spend time together and do stuff, which was the evening and daytime hours. We got to spend time with Raina. It worked.
Well, it worked for us too, because then I could have...
Mom was up, I was up, whatever. But then they changed my hours to earlier in the day. And so I ended up, it was like smack dab in the middle of the day, so you can't do anything. I go to work at 1 o'clock now, and I get off at 9:30. So, everything's really limited to, you have to get up really early to go to that doctor's appointment, so it doesn't, lay into like, we need you there at 12 instead, come in overtime. So I struggle with that because that means that all of the house chores either need to happen before work or after work, which is when most people do chores. When they come home from work, they cook dinner, they fold a load of laundry, they watch their show on primetime TV, and they eat dinner with their family, put their kids to bed and baths, and they're in bed by like 10, 11, 12, right? For me, I get off work, it's 9:30, and I go and I help my husband clean the dishes. Then it's like, okay, I need to unwind. I can't really vacuum after 10 o'clock at night
because everyone's asleep.
Yeah. I don't want to wake the kid up or make the dogs bark. So I make myself get up in the morning and do it before work, which is exhausting whenever you end up staying up until like 3 or 4 o'clock in the morning, which is what I end up doing. So I actually, when I first kind of, got on the new routine of, okay, I can't do all the cleaning on one day a week anymore. There's just too much of it. I'm not always home every Sunday because of like kid stuff, scout stuff, family stuff, podcast stuff. So now I'm like, okay, I just got to break it down. I'm going to do laundry on Monday, and then I'm going to do deep clean the kitchen on Tuesday. Wednesday is the bathrooms, Thursday is the floors, and that's like vacuum and sweep and dust kind of day. And I did that for a while, but the one key thing that you have to have, the one supply I feel like you need to have in your cleaning kit is willpower.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
Yeah, definitely.
That is the one thing on your checklist that you got to have, and that's been the hardest thing.
And that's the one thing you can't buy.
No. Except for a maid. Yeah.
You can't buy willpower. It has to come from within, and it's really hard. I don't know how. I look back, I've watched the 1800s house or whatever, and the Pioneer.
Gosh,
what was that show?
Where the colony or something where they went. Yeah, it was 1800s home.
1800 house, and then there was one, the Pioneer family.
We'll link it on the blog for you guys.
I will link that. But it was a whole series that was on PBS or something like that, where this family went to go live in a log cabin or whatever. For several months. I think they were there for a year.
And they lived true to the time period.
Yes, they did. They had to give up all of their modern technology, and those women were so exhausted because it was sun up and well past sundown. They were just constantly cooking and cleaning because it took so long to do everything. And I'm always just, how did people do it? And even like, my mother-in-law, she always kept a spotless, beautiful, welcoming home. And
like
I'm
magazine
welcoming. Yes, it was
I
magazine
remember that.
worthy.
It was just like fancy lady.
But she wasn't a fancy lady. She was a very down-to-earth mom lady, and God bless her. I miss her so much because she was awesome.
My grandma was the same way.
And I just don't understand how she did that. How do you do that? How do you do that? Now, granted,
is it my hobbies that takes up all my time and energy?
Well, maybe. We do have hobbies.
Just have,
but she
more
read.
Yeah.
And she took naps.
Responsibilities, I guess. I don't know.
And she legit took a nap every day.
She took a nap every day. But she read lots of books. And
she was in bed by 9 p.m.
No, 10.
I mean,
10.
Close enough.
Was she a stay-at-home mom, stay-at-home wife?
Yes, she's
okay.
But she played bridge with her friends, and she would visit with her friends, but she did. She had a immaculate home, and somehow managed to do that for, Now, in later years, they had a maid and, things like that, but still.
She just came to, like, clean the floorboards.
She really did. She came to scrub the tub and do the scrub deep down stuff because my mother-in-law was too old to do it by then. But you know, she kept the house clean the whole week. The house was clean before the maid got there.
Well, you just have to do a
the
little
clutter.
bit at a time, you know.
And I
Like,
think
was
that's
no
the
clutter.
difference between cleaning and I think that's one of the biggest challenges that I think people have to overcome too with cleaning is that it's harder to clean when you have a lot of clutter because there's
Yes.
picking up the clutter and then there's cleaning. When I'm talking about cleaning, I'm talking about like sanitizing.
Yes,
yeah, and
scrubbing
it's
the
hard
toilet.
to go
Yeah.
around the clutter to
Right.
clean and sanitize, which, you know, was something that I hate to, you know, my parents failed at.
Oh, mine
Well,
too.
like growing up is that, you know, like my parents would be like, would set a box or whatever before, you know, they wouldn't break it down to take out the trash. They'd set it somewhere or set something else, like maybe like if they unwrapped something, they'd set the paper somewhere. And then it would be there a month later. And that's one thing that I try to keep mindful with is because I hate that kind
Touch
of
it
clutter.
once.
Yes,
Yeah, I hate
is
that
yeah.
kind of clutter, so it goes immediately to the trash if I unwrap
and
something.
that's you know, my parents were hoarders, and we were very poor, so you didn't get rid of anything. You kept it because you might need it, and
No, yeah, my parents were the same way. Yeah.
and we lived in
grandma.
a tiny mobile home, and I would love to know how much square footage that home was,
It was
because
probably
It was
like
a tiny-
700 or something.
oh yeah, it was tiny, and
Like the house I used to live in.
yeah, and so, but Kristen had a good point. You know, one of the tenets of good housekeeping and good organization skills is to only touch things once. So you go out to the mailbox, you get the mail, while it's in your hand, you sort it and you put it away. The bills go into the bill folder on your desk or whatever, and the
envelope trash
The
that you
envelopes,
open the bills from.
Yeah.
yeah,
it goes
anything
immediately
goes
to the
where
trash.
it goes immediately to the trash before you're through handling the mail. It has either gone to a different recipient, you know, it's my husband's mail, so it goes into his inbox, or it goes into the mail sorter, you know, for the bills, things like that. When you come in and you think about it this way, when you bring in your groceries, what is the first thing you do?
Put the freezer stuff away and the milk and stuff.
You don't leave the ice cream sitting on the counter while you go, you know, check the mail and go feed the dog and do all these other things. You put that stuff away. And so if you get in the habit of doing that, then that helps knock out that clutter. And another thing that I have learned, and this came from a magazine I read a long time ago, and the only thing that I took away from this article, I'm sure there were other great things in this article, and I think it came from Better Homes and Gardens, but I don't know. It was talking about the number of these, you know, like 5 things that you will find in every clean home. And the number one thing that was on there that struck me so much was that people with clean homes do not use the floor for storage. Think about that.
Mm-hmm.
They do not think of the floor as storage.
Well,
There are
under
no
something?
piles on the floor.
Yeah,
Oh,
like under the
piles.
table, piles.
There's no piles
Well, I
on the
mean,
floor. There's no.
What if it's in a container? And
No.
No, not at all.
Well, if that's where it's like stored, but
if that's its designated place, but there's not like a basket on the floor with a whole bunch of crap in it, you know. You know that's the
Yeah,
thing.
yeah.
that
And I mean,
basket would
like-
be in the
Or like
closet.
the magazine
shelf
basket,
above.
Right,
Well,
you could have it under the bed, you know, under the bed storage or under a table kind of storage.
Oh, okay, so like in like a storage container under the bed or under the table,
Right,
it's
but
fine,
not
but
not
like
on the floor. And
a
you know,
stack
and
of
I'm
magazines on the
I'm
floor or
looking
whatever.
right now in our in this podcast that we're looking at, and I see an empty suitcase
our
over there.
secret layer.
Yes, and there's my shoes, And there's all kinds
There's
of
like
things
4
on the
bags on the floor right now.
on the floor right now
Yeah.
instead of being put
I
away
mean,
somewhere. So
To be fair, this is our secret
Well, it is. It's our
lair and
secret
not our
lair.
house,
Right,
So-
but that's what makes it look messy in here. There's an empty closet right there.
yeah, that's true.
There
Everything
is.
could be in the closet, but
Yeah.
of course,
But that's the other thing. And, when you also think about things stored on the floor is not storage.
Right.
The floor is not storage. Nothing has a permanent home.
Tabletops are not storage either. They're
They
working surfaces.
shouldn't
That
be,
was what I was
definitely.
going. Yes, tables are not working, or tables are working surfaces, not for storage.
Right.
And so things should go in drawers or in containers or whatever. And I'm thinking of my kitchen countertop. Oh my God.
There's a stack of magazines.
There's a stack of magazines and flyers, grocery
There's
flyers.
always a box that comes in the mail.
that sits there for a week or two before somebody opens the box.
Yeah.
Don't even want to think about my kitchen countertop at the moment.
And I don't have a bread box, and the bread doesn't go in the pantry because it gets crushed in there. So there's usually a pile in the corner of the counter that has the bread and some chips and maybe some snacks that we want out for.
So you guys saw my kitchen transformation on the blog. So you
Yes.
saw
Yes.
what I overcame.
Yes.
Yeah.
So where we keep our food was actually like the butler's pantry. I guess where you're probably supposed to keep your china and stuff or whatever. But we decided to use that for a pantry because this house is older. It didn't really come with a pantry. And when we first moved in, like the day we got our keys, my husband and I went out and got lunch. And then we brought in some mail from the mailbox. And some things got set right there because that was like, it automatically was the catch-all. We hadn't even moved in and it became the catch-all. I saw it and I was like, oh my God, we're already leaving trash right here. Because we had like our straw paper and stuff from our lunch and like little ketchup packets. And there was a straw wrapper that was still there.
What?
It was behind all the clutter. It was behind all the clutter. And we had sage the house. So there was still sage ashes. I'm so embarrassed, but it's true.
Oh my gosh.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. So those little things, like you forget to kind of clean those areas because you can't see the surface that needs to be cleaned because it was just like half eaten bags of chips and,
Yeah.
things,
They're
just kind
stacked
of
up behind other things
they
that
were
you
just
don't
piled
notice.
up there, and I was just like,
'cause you
why
just
are we
walk by
keeping
it.
these half
Right.
bags of chips and like there's
Yeah,
enough for a half a bowl of cereal, throw it away.
Right.
Yeah,
Or
that's
eat
like
it.
the
Pour all the cereal
corner
into
of
one
my
bowl.
cabinet when I walk in. I have a place for my keys that I can hang my keys, but and then I have places for things, but I always walk in and set all my drinks, my keys, everything in my hands, the mail on that corner, like the corner, and it's like right above the trash can, so my cats will knock that stuff off.
Oh,
And
no.
So it's just like if I'm missing something, I have to check the trash can, because it's just like, so maybe I need a new catch-all or maybe no catch-all
No
at all.
catch-all. I am a
No
firm
catch-all.
believer that catch-all is a bad place in your house.
It is.
It is
And
bad.
it breaks
is
that
it like
rule
the
of only
junk
touch
drawer?
it once.
It is.
I have a catch-all on my desk. Well, actually, right.
Your whole desk is a catch-all.
Right at my
was
desk
just
at
gonna say
work, that is a catch-all.
But I usually keep it started out as a little pile, and it was like I don't know what to do with this.
It's like a junkyard.
Oh, I can't even use my desk. If you saw that, I need to do a transformation on my desk, really.
You need to do that, like, 5-4, that this week you're going to do, like, one bag, and then next week.
Oh, yeah, one
yeah.
drawer at a time.
Yeah,
or
Yeah,
one
well,
pile
one
at a
bag.
time.
I actually have started on that, and I had started on that before my mother moved in, and like I said, right after my mother moved out into a memory facility, then we moved in a friend who had cancer, who needed care, and so I've just had this revolving door of people in my house, and we had to clean out the rooms, the bedrooms that they were staying in. So everything got moved out of their rooms into either my room or the garage. So everything has been piled up in there, and there's nowhere. But really, my little thing started as a little pile of, I don't know what to do with this now, so I'm going to set it right here. And then it would just keep shuffling because I never had time to get to it. Well, you know what? That I don't know if we've talked about this before. I know we're going to talk about it coming up on a very a
Near
podcast,
upcoming
podcast. But I need to Eisenhower matrix that stuff.
Oh, yes.
Because if it's been in that pile all this time, or kind of like,
it? Yeah.
Am I really going to use it? Or like the theory of the clothing, if you haven't worn this in 6 months or a year or whatever, get rid of it.
And
if it's been in that same pile
for a year,
why am I keeping it? And so yeah, I think I might need to do that.
So I have a friend. Hi, Hallie. She listens to this podcast.
Hey,
Hallie.
Under the bus.
But I have a friend who religiously cleans. Like, she is such. That's her OCD.
I admire people,
and
who
she
can
has
do
dogs, and she religiously cleans. And so she tells me, like, every time I clean, I make a pile of stuff that doesn't fit in its spot, or that I don't think that I need. And if I can't find a place for it, or if I haven't used it, I will either throw it away or take it to Goodwill.
I have done that. I've had a box that, as you're cleaning out a drawer, if it's something you haven't used in a while, or you don't know where to put it in this box and leave the box in the closet
Put
or
it
whatever.
out in the garage,
Or out in
and
the
then
garage.
you forget about it, and then you're like, I
and
don't
then,
really
and
care
then
about
there's
it anymore.
50 bags in the garage, and you're like, oh, hey. Kind of like the back of my car, the Goodwill stuff I still haven't taken to Goodwill yet.
Oh.
From Christmas, by the way, guys.
Uh-oh. Yeah, I tend to take care of that stuff, but it's the ones that I think I'm going to handle, the things that I am going to get around to it. You've heard, everybody is in need of that round to it, right?
Right. Yeah.
So that's like the good intentions. So
Yeah.
you could like take that saying and say like this pile is the pile to hell of good intentions.
Right. The road to hell is paved with good intentions.
Yeah.
So
It's
yeah,
piled with good intentions.
you can build a house.
I was
the
gonna do
house
that.
of hell is built with good
It's
intentions.
filled
Yeah.
with good intentions.
Yes. Yeah, I don't know.
Oh goodness!
That is the
Well,
definition of my
obvious-
storage units. Good intentions that I haven't touched.
Oh, we're not even going to talk about storage units. I have 3
Next on
sheds.
Modern Music.
Next on Modern
Storage
Music. Storage unit
Storage
cleaning.
wars in the Murray's
Like
backyard.
storage hoarding from
Hoarding
Amber.
techniques. Yeah.
Hoarding techniques from Amber. 3
Oh, wow.
storage units worth of stuff.
I have 3 storage units. I do. You have no idea. There are 3 in my yard. So, but yeah, obviously there's a lot more to talk about here, and we're going to talk about things. So
Yeah. What are we talking about next week?
what is next week? Next week is National Poetry.
Yeah, National Poetry Month. So we're going to be talking about poetry next week. Maybe like if you don't know what poetry is, which hopefully everybody does, because if you listen to music, you know what poetry is. So we're going to talk about different kinds of poetry, and I'm going to read one of my favorite poets, Edgar Allan Poe. I'm sure I've mentioned him before because I'm an English nerd. And
Yeah, we're excited.
we're excited to talk about National Poetry Month
And
coming
all
up.
the different kinds of poetry. I think you'll be surprised, because I think a lot of people think poetry and they think Emily Dickinson, or
It's got a rhyme.
it's
Yeah,
got a
it has to
rhyme,
rhyme.
or yeah. So we're going to talk about some different kinds of poetry and share some of our experiences with poetry, and hopefully help you develop a love of poetry too.
Like I said, if you love music, you love poetry. If you didn't know that music was poetry, now you do.
That's true. It is.
Unless it's music that doesn't have words, and then that's a different type of art.
So, well, that's poetry in motion. There you go.
There we go. Musical poetry.
There, okay. So, thanks for listening. We want to thank Red Door Studios and Creative Audio Tech for our equipment and assistance with our recording. And we want to thank all you listeners for coming back week after week. We're so glad that you come and listen to us. Please leave us some love. Give us some ratings on the podcast.
Send us an email.
Comment on the
comment
blogs.
or join us on our Facebook.
We don't know if you're.
MMC
We
chat.
see the numbers of the listeners, but we don't know what you like unless you comment and share your thoughts and
give us some suggestions for future podcasts.
And
What
we
do you
want to
wanna
hear
about?
what you think. Join us in this conversation. Tell us about your cleaning experiences. If you have a checklist you go through,
and what I need to put on my home binder, please.
oh yeah, she needs some good ideas.
I need suggestions.
But we really want you to join us in this conversation. That's what the whole point of this podcast is, that we are having conversations, and we want you to have those conversations with us on the blog, on the Facebook groups, and so forth. So, and join us again next week for National Poetry Month, and hopefully there'll be something there. If nothing else, you can laugh at us, right?
Yeah.
Right. Oh, and speaking of social media, we are on TikTok, and we have a YouTube channel with videos. So make sure you check those out.
Yes,
we haven't really talked about those,
Or social
and
media
let
in
you guys
general.
know about that, but we do have videos out there.
And they're
too.
all linked on the website, modernmusings.net, which is actually our blog. So, and there's lots of tabs there. Explore the tabs and join us in the conversation. And that's it for this week.
Bye. Have a good
Bye-bye.
one.
Bye.